A sunny suburban neighborhood named Maplewood, known for its close-knit community and strict HOA regulations. The protagonist, Jamie, has a beautiful backyard pool that becomes the center of conflict. Characters: Jamie Collins. The protagonist, a friendly and easygoing homeowner who loves hosting neighborhood gatherings by the pool. Karen Thompson. The overzealous HOA member, often referred to as HOA Karen, who believes she can enforce the rules at any time, even if it means trespassing. Lila and Max, Karen's friends who share her intrusive tendencies and often join her in her antics. Tom, Jamie's supportive neighbor who helps navigate the conflict with humor and wisdom. Mrs. Rodriguez, an elderly resident who provides comic relief and shares tales from the neighborhood's past. Plot: the setup: Jamie has just moved into Maplewood and is excited about the summer. The backyard pool is a highlight, and Jamie dreams of hosting pool parties for friends and neighbors. However, Jamie quickly learns about the HOA's strict rules through Karen, who frequently patrols the neighborhood. The first incident. One hot afternoon, Jamie notices a commotion in the pool area. To their shock, Karen and her friends have snuck into the backyard, lounging by the pool without permission. Karen claims she was just checking on the community standards. Jamie confronts them, reminding them that the pool is private, but Karen brushes it off, insisting they're just enjoying the neighborhood. The repeated trespasses. Despite Jamie's warnings, Karen and her friends return to the pool multiple times over the next few weeks. Each time, Jamie finds them sunbathing, eating snacks, and even throwing pool parties of their own, all while ignoring Jamie's pleas to respect their privacy. Frustrated, Jamie decides to take action. The plan. Jamie enlists the help of Tom, a neighbor who has seen Karen's antics before. Together, they devise a plan to protect the pool area. They set up motion-activated cameras to catch Karen and her friends in the act and decide to hold a neighborhood meeting to address the ongoing issue. The gathering. At the meeting, Jamie presents the evidence of Karen's trespassing. The footage shows Karen and her friends enjoying the pool without permission, leading to laughter and disbelief among the neighbors. Mrs. Rodriguez shares her own experiences with Karen's antics, adding humor to the situation and rallying support for Jamie. Karen's reaction. Feeling cornered, Karen tries to defend her actions, claiming she was just trying to foster community spirit. However, the residents are not swayed. They express their frustration with her behavior and emphasize the importance of respecting personal boundaries. The consequences. The HOA board, upon reviewing the footage and hearing from residents, decides to take action against Karen. They impose fines for her unauthorized pool parties and remind her of the importance of community respect. Jamie feels a sense of relief as the community rallies behind them. The pool party. With Karen's antics addressed, Jamie decides to host an official neighborhood pool party to celebrate unity and community spirit. Everyone is invited, including those who supported Jamie during the conflict. The event is a success, filled with laughter, games, and camaraderie. A new understanding. During the party, Jamie and Karen have an open conversation. Karen, realizing her behavior was out of line, apologizes and expresses a desire to be more respectful of boundaries in the future. Jamie accepts her apology, and they agree to work together in the spirit of community. Moving forward. The story concludes with a newfound sense of cooperation in the neighborhood. Jamie continues to host pool parties, but now with enthusiastic participation from the community. Karen becomes a more considerate resident, and the neighborhood thrives, fostering friendships and connections. Themes: respect for privacy, the importance of personal boundaries and the right to enjoy one's own space, community and cooperation, the power of coming together to address issues and support one another, growth and understanding, learning from mistakes and fostering better relationships. Conclusion: this story serves as a lighthearted exploration of community dynamics and the challenges of navigating personal boundaries in a shared environment. Through humor and resilience, Jamie turns a frustrating situation into an opportunity for growth, ultimately bringing the neighborhood closer together. The sunny, picturesque neighborhood of Maplewood, characterized by its well-manicured lawns, friendly neighbors, and a strict homeowners association, HOA, that prides itself on maintaining order. Jamie's house stands out with its inviting pool, which quickly becomes the focal point of community activities. Characters: Jamie Collins, a young professional who values personal space and enjoys hosting friends. Jamie is friendly but firm and believes in setting boundaries. Karen Thompson, the overzealous HOA member, often seen with her clipboard, ready to enforce the rules. She has a reputation for being intrusive and meddlesome. Lila and Max, Karen's equally intrusive friends who blindly follow her lead, often adding to the chaos with their antics. Tom, Jamie's wise and humorous neighbor who often provides comic relief and practical advice. Mrs. Rodriguez, the neighborhood elder who shares stories from the past, often highlighting how the community used to be before the strict HOA rules. Plot. The setup. Jamie moves into Maplewood with dreams of summer pool parties. They love the bright blue water and the idea of friends gathering for barbecues and fun. However, Jamie quickly learns about Karen's obsessive control over the neighborhood rules. At a community meeting, Jamie tries to connect with the neighbors, but Karen immediately shuts down any informal discussions about relaxation and fun. The first incident. One sweltering Saturday, Jamie decides to take a dip in the pool. Upon returning home from the store, Jamie finds Karen and her friends lounging in the pool, drinks in hand. Jamie is flabbergasted. "What are you doing?" Jamie asks, trying to maintain composure. Karen smirks, "Just enjoying the community pool." Jamie insists it's private property, but Karen brushes it off, claiming that the neighborhood is like one big family. The repeated trespasses. Despite Jamie's requests for them to leave, Karen and her friends continue to sneak into the pool. Each time they bring snacks, loud music, and even inflatable pool toys, treating Jamie's backyard like a public park. Jamie becomes increasingly frustrated, feeling like a prisoner in their own home. The turning point. After several weeks of harassment, Jamie decides enough is enough. They consult Tom, who has dealt with Karen's antics before. Together, they devise a plan to install motion-activated cameras around the pool area. Jamie also considers putting up a tall fence to create a more secure barrier, but they want to exhaust all options first. The gathering. Excited to address the issue, Jamie calls a neighborhood meeting. They share the footage of Karen and her friends invading their pool, showcasing the audacity of their actions. The neighbors are shocked and amused, some even sharing their own tales of Karen's meddling. Mrs. Rodriguez reminisces about how the neighborhood used to be a place of freedom and trust, contrasting sharply with the current situation. Karen's reaction. Cornered by the evidence, Karen tries to defend herself, claiming she was just trying to bring people together. Lila and Max chime in, trying to back her up, but the community is no longer buying the excuses. Jamie, feeling empowered by the support, firmly states that everyone deserves respect for their personal space. The consequences. The HOA board reviews the footage and hears from the residents. They impose fines on Karen for her repeated trespassing, and remind her of the community's need for personal boundaries. Jamie feels a sense of victory as the community comes together to support one another against intrusive behavior. The pool party. To celebrate the newfound solidarity, Jamie decides to host a proper neighborhood pool party, inviting everyone, including those who stood by them. The event is filled with laughter, games, and delicious food. Jamie sets clear boundaries, ensuring that everyone respects each other's space. The atmosphere is lighthearted and fun, transforming the previous tension into a joyful celebration. The Willow Creek community was a place of manicured lawns and rigid regulations, presided over by the self-declared queen of the Homeowners Association, Brenda. She was the quintessential HOA Karen, armed with a clipboard, an inflated sense of authority, and a clique of equally entitled friends, Debbie and Carol. My name is Ethan, and my property had one very desirable feature that Brenda lacked, a magnificent in-ground saltwater pool. My home wasn't part of the main community. It was a separate lot purchased before the HOA extended its borders, meaning I had no covenant regarding the pool's use. It was purely private. That didn't stop Brenda. For weeks, I noticed strange discrepancies. The pool floaties were always moved. The level of chlorine seemed off, and one evening, I found a discarded, half-eaten gourmet cheesecracker near the deck. I installed a high-definition security camera pointing directly at the pool area. The footage confirmed my suspicions. Every Tuesday and Thursday afternoon, the moment my truck left for work, Brenda, Debbie, and Carol would climb over the low-back fence, separating my yard from the common green space. They treated my luxurious pool deck like their personal resort. They sunbathed, sipped iced tea out of my glasses, I later realized, and discussed the petty fines they were handing out to other residents. I called Brenda. "Brenda, I have video evidence of you and your friends trespassing and using my private pool. You need to stop immediately." Brenda's response was a masterpiece of entitlement. "Ethan, darling, it's a community pool. It's right next to the park. We were merely using a shared amenity for the common good. You should be happy to share such a lovely resource. It is not a community amenity, I countered, struggling to keep my voice even. It's my private property, clearly fenced, and your actions are illegal. She ended the call by threatening to fine me for aggressive communication. The master plan since the HOA board was a dictatorship of Brenda and her friends. Going through official channels was useless. I decided it was time for a practical and legally sound lesson in property rights. My plan involved 3 simple steps. Step 1, the chemical adjustment. Called my pool service company and asked them to perform a deep clean and maintenance flush. This involved replacing the water with fresh water and slightly adjusting the chemical balance. Specifically, I raised the pH of the water just enough to make the chlorine slightly less effective, but not so much that it was harmful. Then, I added a hefty dose of a harmless, fluorescent yellow dye used in pool leak detection. It's completely safe for skin but stains temporary things like clothes and porous fabric. Crucially, it takes a few hours to really develop and stick. Step 2. The security upgrade. I put up a new, much higher fence and installed a motion-activated security floodlight, ensuring it covered the entire pool deck. I also placed a large new sign on the fence. Private property. Trespassers will be prosecuted. I knew the sign wouldn't deter Brenda. It was merely evidence that she had been warned. Step 3. The wait. The following Tuesday afternoon, I left for work, as usual. I watched my security feed on my phone. Right on schedule, Brenda, Debbie, and Carol, carrying new bright white towels and their oversized sun hats, hopped the new higher fence. Honestly, the gall of that, Ethan, Brenda scoffed on the video feed. Putting up this tacky sign, like a little fence, is going to stop me from enjoying a proper dip. They tossed their belongings onto the deck chairs and plunged into the refreshing, slightly too yellow water. They spent a delightful hour swimming and complaining about other people's weeds. Paying the price, I waited 3 hours. I then drove back home, walked out to the pool deck, and turned on the new motion-activated floodlights. Brenda, Debbie, and Carol, wrapped in their towels and about to leave, looked up in horror as the bright light illuminated the deck. Their white towels were now a sickly fluorescent lemon yellow. The bright patterns on their expensive designer swimsuits were completely overwhelmed by the strong highlighter yellow stain. But the worst part? Their skin, hair, and even their faces, where they'd wiped away water, had a faint but unmistakable yellow tint. Brenda shrieked. "What did you do, Ethan?" I held up my phone, clearly showing the police dispatcher on the screen. "I did a routine pool leak test that requires the use of a safe but staining dye. It's meant to be flushed immediately. If you were legally authorized to use the pool, I would have informed you. Your clothes are ruined. Your skin will be fine in a day or 2, but it's going to take a lot of scrubbing to get that dye off your hair. I suggest you all wait here," Brenda tried to bluster. "You cannot call the police. We're the HOA board. I'm calling the police to report multiple instances of trespassing and property damage, specifically the theft of my pool water and chemicals," I replied calmly. "You all ignored my warning sign and climbed my fence to trespass on private property. The police are on their way to take your statements." The sight of the 3 women, drenched, yellow-stained, and frantic, while trying to explain to the arriving officer why they were on a stranger's property in their ruined fluorescent swimwear, was the sweetest revenge. The fallout was spectacular. The ruined designer clothes and the necessary pool refilling costs were well over the small claims limit, and I sued all 3 of them. The embarrassment and the legal trouble led to Brenda and her friends being forcibly removed from the HOA board after an emergency recall petition. They finally learned the hard lesson. My pool was not a shared amenity, and trespassing, even for a sunbath, comes with a very visible price.